Hey guys, welcome in. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways or 5 tools that Beethoven uses to add drama, to add suspense, to add intensity to his music. This should be really helpful for you as you're learning Beethoven or really any other composer to kind of open your eyes up to other ways they can add intensity other than just maybe getting louder. Now, the first method here is the most straightforward and obvious one. You probably all thought of it when you clicked on the video, and that's simply play louder, like crescendo. We don't need to spend a lot of time with this one, right? Like, play louder, louder sound, more drama. Okay, now that we got that one out of the way, the next one up is a lot more interesting, and that is add dissonance. Check out this moment from the last movement of Waldstein. Did you hear what Beethoven did there? He started out with just a G major chord, G, B, D, then there's a G, then there's a G, B, D, G down here, and then 2 G's on the bottom, just a straight up G major chord. Then after doing that twice, he added an F, which isn't a crazy chord yet. So we went from a G chord to an G7 chord, and then he went to, and he added an A flat. So we went from G, not intense, G7, more intense, and then at the peak of the crescendo, the A flat. So another really common way you'll see Beethoven add drama, add intensity is by adding notes, but not just adding notes. I mean, notes could be used just to make the music louder, but adding dissonant notes, notes that crash more. And those crashy notes, even if they're not literally louder, they could be louder, but even if they're not literally louder, they're going to be more intense to our ears because we hear the dissonance. Now, before I tell you number 3, I have some really good news for you. I actually organized these in order of kind of like coolness. As we go one to the next, each one's going to get a little more unique. So at number 3, we have health notes. Now, I just don't mean any long note you run across ever in your music. What I mean in particular is that when the music is building, the notes are getting faster and faster, getting more exciting. And then instead of Beethoven, and other composers do this too, right? This isn't all just about Beethoven, but instead of Beethoven just like going, well, cool, it's building, I need to play even faster notes, he chooses to hold out a note for a long time. And that adds a sense of like, bah, to the music. So let me show you this in the first movement of Waldstein. So it starts out here pretty choppy, with all these cha 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 kind of nonstop for a while. Now at this moment, I could see someone like me being like, okay, I'm at the peak of the crescendo, I'm about to play my biggest chord, I need to really just pull all the stops and go like, and do some like arpeggio down here while the right hand does a scale to add all this sound. And Beethoven realizes that, you know what I haven't done for the piece yet is have one giant long bass tone. The bass has been going. So you know it is pretty dramatic to go and just hold that out. Hear that? Makes it so dramatic. But also in number 3, I've included the exact opposite of holding, and that's letting go of notes. Now I know I'm being ridiculous with the big to show you the silence, but you see what I mean? Like it goes 2 notes and then silence, and that silence actually makes it more intense. If there's a chord there like this, you have no time to ponder what just happened. At number 4, we had the idea of adding new layers or new textures to the piece as we go along. A really famous example of this is the middle movement of Pathetic Sonata. That was the first time you hear the melody, but just a few measures later, we get again octave higher. Not only is it an octave higher, but we've also added an additional middle voice like this. later on we get the same melody, but now we've layered in triplets. Then you guessed it, a little bit later, we do the triplets and the added middle voice like this. But I know lots of you are already pretty familiar with Pathetique Sonata, so I want to give you a new example so you can kind of hear this idea with fresh ears. This is from the middle movement of Beethoven's Opus 10, number 1. It starts like this. And this is a great example because it is so empty. It is so naked there to begin. Like that's all you have to work with. Now, the next time you hear the melody, it does this. So not only do we have faster notes now, but we also have a little more interest in that middle voice with things like. And then near the end of the piece, the melody sounds like this. Now, the next tool to add drama is my personal favorite on the list because it's a little more subtle. It's not always obvious when you first see it on the page or even when you first hear the piece. I think it's something that lots of you have probably never considered before. So pay attention. Hopefully you learned something. So here is the second movement of Beethoven's Opus 2, number 2. Cool. A little later we get this sound. Something like that, okay? When we get to the crescendo here in just a second, check out what happens. We're going to get the playing louder for sure, but something else a little more subtle is going on. Hopefully I can play this decently. Did you catch what happened? It's really, really cool. So yes, I played louder. Yes, I went from the staccato notes to the more held notes, which we talked about earlier. But the coolest thing that happens is the piece opens up spacing wise on the piano. The piece started out with this pretty narrow range. I mean, it's not a closed position, but it's fairly closed and tight. We're kind of hovering around 2 octaves, slightly above 2 octave range, even up here. And then we got really tight, as close as you can get, and all that stuff. Now, I don't overly concern myself with like, is this chord closed? Is this chord not closed? But what you have to pay attention to is when your hands don't move up or move down, but they move out. And this is a thing I think a lot of pianists have not trained themselves to see. They see, oh, things got higher or things got lower, but they're not paying attention to when this happens. Okay, pretty close. Then all of a sudden, okay, same spacing. Okay, now we've reached a new reach. This is the furthest our hands have ever gotten apart, and we don't stop there. So if you've ever wondered why that moment is so crazy effective, because Beethoven has been super careful to keep the range between 2 octaves, maybe up to about 2.5. Then all of a sudden he stretches out to that sound, the lowest note we've heard so far, and I believe, yeah, the highest note we've heard so far. We've reached our highest note of the whole piece and the lowest note of the whole piece at the exact same time. And this one is literally all over the place. Just go play some Beethoven, go listen to some Beethoven, especially if you can see the pianist's hands, and try to pay attention to when things move in the same direction, and then pay attention when things start spacing out in opposite directions. Often it's a sign that Beethoven is trying to just open up the texture, because this sound, and this sound, and this sound, and this sound, is just a great way to add drama, and it automatically kind of gives a piece that kick of volume at the same time. Before I go, just want to encourage you to take a second and like the video, and also leave a comment down below. And remember, when you are leaving comments and replying to other people's comments, we're trying to build a super positive community here. So be nice to each other, get us all excited about classical music, and see you guys in a future video.